how would your honor be tarnished by the fact that the physical body of a woman gets somehow, like I said, contaminated, whatever it is that's in your head has to do with the fact that you see your masculinity, okay, through someone else. And so if your honor as a man gets so tarnished, then you just kill yourself instead of killing someone else, right? Right. Yeah, exactly. And so Othello should have really killed himself only. Yeah, and probably Iago. That would have been awesome. Anyway, so that's here. Again, those expressions of horror of how basically Othello himself is relegated to Iago's pornographic imagination. Oh, how if all these men were touching Desdemona's body? He cannot, khalas. In this moment, he cannot think. Again, if we are to take what you said, Yahya, about him being a man of the army, then actually he would have been more ready to, exactly, he would have been more ready to kind of think of this logically. But I think actually in this particular moment, beginning scene 3, I think Othello is no longer even thinking about anything in terms of being ahead of the army. I think he kind of lost it all together. All right. I'll just leave this for you. You can look at it later. Now, violence and death. Now, you guys, before we move on to the play unraveling, and Desdemona departs and Othello remarks on that. What does he say? Let's go back. He says, "Excellent wretch, perdition catch my soul, but I do love thee. And when I love thee not, chaos may come." What is going on? This man is like blathering. He says that he would kill her and chaos will happen if he doesn't love her, but he loves her. But I mean, obviously the situation is all what? A very chaotic one. And we kind of see that when he says things and he utters things, his style of speaking is becoming so hyperbolic. What does it mean? Hyperbole. When someone speaks in hyperbole or hyperbolic, it means, it means you're having this very exaggerated tone. So, and then he says, so he says here, "I love you at the risk of perdition or damnation. I'll be damned, okay? For preferring earthly love to divine love. I am damned if I do not love you." Again, what does that even mean? I mean, you feel like Othello is like little by little kind of sliding into this. He still speaks in poetry, but it's kind of nonsensical. Kind of makes no sense. And again, here is the question of Iago's behavior mirroring Othello. Othello, and Othello's behavior mirroring Othello. Okay. Again, I'll just leave this for you because I'm not interested in doing summaries. Let's look at the dramatic function. Now, in scene 4, in Act 3, we have a melancholy scene. Do you know what melancholy means? Sad. Kind of evokes a sense of sadness. Okay? Emilia, Iago's wife, is with Desdemona and Desdemona's maid. They're all preparing for Desdemona's bed. There's a dramatic function over here. We have something called proleptic irony, you guys. What is proleptic irony? It's when there's a moment that foreshadows something. You know what foreshadowing something that's going to happen in the future. So when they're preparing for Desdemona's bed, they're really preparing for her deathbed, because we kind of know as an audience that this woman is not going to last for much longer. Obviously, this man is falling into this whole homicidal mania, right? He's not stable. He's dropping on her. He's convinced that she must have slept with Cassio and all of that. And so here, these women are together in a more kind of situation that shows them bonding. So if we are contrasting this with the male situation, kind of there's a sharp contrast. They have this intimate moment. They're sitting together. They're kind of, and then the men, if you look outside to that world, Rodrigo is stabbing probably Cassio. No, I don't even remember the order of the events. They're all stabbing each other and killing each other and plotting against each other. And then we see these women sitting here in this kind of intimate situation. Now, what is happening here? There is a story that is told. It relates the story of Berberi. Who is Berberi? She's Desdemona's mother's maid. Berberi, remember they called Othello at some point a Berberi horse, a Berber. So possibly that she was also black, African, Muslim. I really don't know. So the story of this woman is that her lover lost his mind. He went crazy and he left her. He forsake her, left her. And that she died singing a song called the Song of Willow, Song of Sadness, okay? This Song of Willow, is it a positive thing, you guys, or a negative thing? Do you, not you, like, if you're logically thinking about it, what does it express? Does it express something good, positive, negative, very negative? Why? This woman's lover left her, and she's still crying over him. It shows you basically what? Female despair, female passivity, right? You're longing passively towards your crazy lover who might be hitting you. Again, talking about problems of self-worth. Someone pushes you, hits you, you go and grab them. Please stay with me. Issues have to do with feeling that you're not enough. You're not good enough. You can't even believe this person looked at you. Oh, they're in love with me. Oh, now they might leave. Oh my God, you grab onto them. Please don't leave me, right? And so she says, let nobody blame him. His scorn I approve. He screams at me, he hits me, he yells at me. I approve of that. Just please don't leave me. Very negative. Now, then we look at another different Emilia's speech. We're looking at a contrasting image. Emilia, Iago's wife, is sitting with them, and she basically has a speech about women and how women should be treated. Now, this one it differs completely from the song, the Willow song, the Song of Willow. She says that you should recognize women's humanity. So she challenges the anti-woman sentiment to, you know, always just assume the worst when it comes to a woman being in a situation. Now, she talks about the rights of wives. So she's not interested in talking about women, maidens, or unmarried women. She's particularly speaking here in her speech about wives. That men should always let husbands know their wives have sense like them. If wives do fall, say they slack their duties, that they're just people like them. You slack your duty, I slack my duty. Sometimes you do well, sometimes I do, sometimes you do something, a shitty job at something, I also do the same thing. So basically here she says that we're all, you know, people, complex people who are struggling to try to be the best that we could. Oh, and so that men should cut them some slack. This is basically what she's saying. This is not important. You can just look at it later. It's important in terms of just knowing the general atmosphere about racial others in England around that time. What does it mean? What does race mean to these Europeans? Patriarchal dominations. Again, patriarchy resembles racism because it's all about power dynamics. So when you think of women being relegated, why do we say that women, black women, suffered under slavery? Of course, more than men. Because they're suffering twofold. They're suffering slavery like their men are suffering slavery, but they're also suffering from being women in patriarchy. How? So the white man would basically rape them. They are forced to sleep with a black man that they don't want. And of course, the black man probably doesn't want to sleep with the woman because they need to produce children so they can go and sell them off, right? So they're like animals. They're basically like cattle. They're treated like farm animals. And also, but ultimately, the man is dealing with his psychological trauma of probably having intercourse with a woman that he doesn't want to be with, but that ends for him. Then the woman has to suffer for 9 months. And probably after that, she has a being growing in her, a fetus, and then after that, it's taken away from her. Is she going to breastfeed that baby? No. What's going to happen? Is she going to go and work in the agriculture enterprise and be picking cotton and working in sugar cane and all that while she's still trying to think about that loss, a child that you just had, a baby, or the fact that you're going to have fever because you are not able to breastfeed your own baby, and then they might send you off to breastfeed someone else's children and form what kind of connection with a baby that is not yours. And so that is so messed up on so many levels. And then on top of that, if you are married, of course you don't marry with certificates, you're going to have to suffer your men or your man treating you badly because he's suffering from the white man treating him badly, and so he's going to come to you at home so he can prove who is man. And this is how women, of course, are going to be suffering double-fold whatever man is suffering in that kind of situation. Now, so again, this is very important what I'm mentioning here because we're looking at gender inequality. And we're going to see gender inequality in the Duchess of Malfi, our next play. And we're looking at a woman who's an aristocrat, who's a duchess. She's the highest, basically, figure in the country that she's a duchess of, right? She still has to deal with issues of gender. And of course, the main issue is class in that play. However, but then I told you in the very, very, very beginning of our class that Karl Marx said that the history of all hitherto human society is a history of class struggle. So our ultimate struggle as humans, really, if you really think about it, is a class one. And then underneath the class, you embed all of these kind of subtle ways of trying to divide people up. So when you create patriarchy right away, you're creating that kind of polar opposition between men and women. You're saying men are something, women are something. And then you create basically racial hierarchies, and you say a white man is better than a colored man, etc., etc. Then you create basically, that is the kind of division that is best to serve people being divided. And so you would have a one dominant class at all times that are ensuring your obedience, and they are basically being, they have that hegemony exerted on the entire society. Okay, now we reach Act 5. Act 5, where the entire disaster is going to happen. I mean, it kind of already really happened, but you're just kind of waiting for, okay, let them kill each other. Everyone is going to die. That's a known thing in tragedies. In tragedies, things kind of in decline, and then in Act 5, everyone dies. Everyone gets murdered, right? And so we're not looking for survivors over here. These people, I mean, I don't care who wounds who and who kills whom. You can look at this later. You're reading the play, so you should know better. So Desdemona enters her chamber. She's going to sleep. And Othello utters these words. He is determined to kill her. It is the cause, my soul. Let me not name it to you, you chase starts. It is the cause, yet I'll not shed her blood. So what is the cause? The cause is everything that we've been talking about this entire time. Does Othello in the play ever mention what the cause is? No, but we've already analyzed it. He says, this is why I'm killing you. Yet I will not shed her blood, nor scar the whiter skin again. So we have the race issue being brought again over here. He's mentioning her skin, her white skin, of hers than snow, and smooth as a monumental alabaster. He's already kind of imagining her as a dead statue, a marble statue. So he is going to kill her, obviously, yet she must die. He's determined, right? Have Othello here. And in a lot of play adaptations, stage adaptations, we see him saying, it is the cause, it is the cause. And he has his hand over her hand, and we see the contrast of his black hand on her white hand while saying it is the cause. So in the stage adaptation, they're kind of trying to emphasize race as being the reason. But we know it's not just that. We know it's so many build-ups that happen. So interpretations of Othello's speech, yeah, I think I've already done that. It is the cause. Everything we mentioned is the cause. His final speech. Soft you, a word or two before you go. I have done the state some service. So this is his goodbye. And they know it. No more of that. I pray you in your letters, when you shall these unlucky deeds relate, speak of me as I am. He knows that they're probably going to be making all these stories about him. It's like, don't present me as a hero. They're not. Well, don't present me as a villain. Speak of me as I am. When these unlucky deeds you're going to relate. What are the unlucky deeds? He's going to murder his wife. Speak of me as I am, nothing extenuate. Don't like relegate me, don't elevate me, don't like, just don't. Nor set down aught in malice. He wasn't being malicious in killing his wife. He wasn't being like this evil person who's been plotting and planning against that, to do that. Then must you speak, okay? Of one that loved not wisely, but too well. We know he loved her. Of one not easily jealous. Again, now he's defending himself here. He says, naturally, I'm not a very jealous person. But I am put in a situation where I was forced to be so. All right. Perplexed in the extreme. Of one whose hand, like the base Indian, threw a pearl away. Richer than all his tribe. Of one whose subdued eyes alibi unused to the melting mood, drops tears as fast as the Arabian trees. Their medicinable gum. Set you down this and say, besides Aleppo, that besides that in Aleppo once in Aleppo, when where a malignant and a turbaned Turkish soldier beat a Venetian and traduced the state. What did Othello do for the Venetians against the Turks? That Turkish soldier. I took by the throat the circumcised dog. So circumcised, Muslim people circumcise their children, the males, the boys, the little children, and smote him thus. And then he stabs himself in his heart, Othello. So Othello, the moment he says that I took by the throat the circumcised dog and smote him thus, he's really identifying with the Turkish soldier. He says, I am that Turkish soldier to be. This is a moment of realization. In that moment, I really think that Othello kind of, it's a nod, like, oh, now I understand Now I understand that those people would have never accepted me. I am to them that Turkish soldier. And so when he stabs himself, he's kind of killing the alien within and kind of feeling that, you know, now I am being myself. Now I realize who I am. Okay, these are just like, you can look at them later, you can do whatever you want with them. Just more details, more analysis. Race issues, feminist issues, other considerations. Other considerations